So the National Endowment for Financial Education reported that 70% of lottery winners end up bankrupt just a few years after coming into their financial windfall. The research shows again and again that regardless of the size of the winning, most lottery winners return to their original financial state. Put another way, the place where they could handle their money the most comfortably. Contrast that against something else I was reading where the self-made millionaire Steve Harvey was being interviewed. And the interviewer asked Steve Harvey, if you were to lose all of the fortune you've amassed, how long would it take before you were a millionaire again? And Steve Harvey said, well, it would probably take me about 8 to 12 months before I was a millionaire again. What's the difference between someone who comes into a windfall of money, whether that is through the lottery or you hit the lick at the casino or you're about to get your taxes back or you get a bonus on your job, or what's the difference between someone who comes into it and someone who makes it but has the potential to lose it and regain it? I submit to you that the only difference, someone say the only difference. The only difference is the money map. That's the only difference. The only difference between the money that you are able to attract and hold and have and at a level that keeps you comfortable and someone who is rich beyond your wildest dreams, the only difference is the way they mentally relate to money. Are you with me? And so one of the things that, as we've been talking about this boundary series, as we've been working through what it is we need to establish boundaries around so that we can have a healthy relationship, I want to encourage you to make sure that you also have boundaries around your money so that you can have a healthy relationship with money. And everybody just exhale, breathe deeply, because here is what I've learned. No matter how much good work I do in ministry, Commonwealth Edison does not care. It doesn't matter how many lives I touch. It doesn't matter how many children I baptize. It doesn't matter how many families I counsel. It doesn't matter what kind of work I do in ministry. The people who provide me cell phone service will not take my prayer and affirmation in exchange for the service they provide me. So what I've learned is that in order to be able to have a healthy relationship with the people I do business with or the people I owe money to, I'd better have myself some money. And so if you are someone who feels funny about the money conversation, I want to invite you to, just in this moment right here, just kind of exercise out your discomfort around the money conversation. See, you can't talk money with some people because it starts to make us feel uneasy. They start feeling guilty. But you don't have to feel guilty. It's just a manifestation of your money map. And can I share something with you? The money map that you have probably didn't originate with you. You probably inherited from someone. You probably learned it when people were saying money don't just grow on trees. Or when you said, Mom, can I get that new bike? And she said, bike? Do you want a bike or do you want something to eat? And so because of how we are conditioned, someone say conditioned. Because of how we are conditioned, we have developed these beliefs around money, and those beliefs may or may not be serving us well. So what I want to do in the few minutes that I'm with you is give you 3 handles to help you set some boundaries around money. And this lesson, this conversation is too important for me to rush through it. So I'm gonna bring this one back to you. We're gonna refresh this one at some point in the near future. All right. You good with that? T. Harv Eker said, the lack of money is never, ever a problem. He said a lack of money is merely a symptom of what's going on underneath. And the thing that's going on underneath is what we think and what we feel about money. How can you tell what your money map is? You have to look at what you were taught. You have to look at what you were heard. You have to look at how money was handled in your family. When it came in, how long was it before it all went out? All of those things have, to some degree, influenced and informed what you think and feel about money. And it doesn't really matter what age you are. As a matter of fact, when I was a young child, my first job was a paper route. And what I learned about the money that I earned on my paper route was this, that if I spent it all, I wouldn't have any left. And so what that taught me, Blanche, was if I wanted some to be able to do whatever I wanted to be able to do, then I had to save a little and not spend it all. Because one of the worst experiences I had as a child was walking into the store with my friends who had money and walk out of the store and they ask you, what you get, receipts? And so there is some learning or unlearning to do around money. It was this rich man who wasn't doing so well at the time. So he called up 3 of his friends and he gave them each an envelope containing $50,000. And the cash was to be paid back at the time that he was laid to rest. After some time had gone by, the friends caught up afterwards and they began to confess about how much of the 50 they repaid. And the first friend said, well, my envelope didn't have the full 50. It had about 10,000, but I sent the rest to Africa for a mission. The second friend said, well, my envelope didn't have the full amount either. It had about 25, and I sent the rest to this medical school so they could do research. And the third friend said, I'm disappointed with both of you all. We made a commitment to our friend, and you didn't keep that commitment. I put a personal check in there for the full amount. How many of you know that when the check went in the coffin? So money can make us do some interesting things. You've got to be able to check out your money map. You've got to be able to see what you think and feel about money. You've got to be honest with yourself about what you think about money. Do you spend money or do you save money? What's your programming? Are you programmed to mismanage money or to manage the money you have? How many of you know that if you mismanage the money that you have, you can't expect the universal flow to give you anything that you're misusing? The universe does not waste anything, and if you don't know where the money goes, then how can you expect the universal flow to refill it? What's your program? What's your money map? Do you use high interest credit cards to make your purchases? Don't answer. This is your inventory. Or do you use your cash to maybe have some greater leverage? Do you make your purchases on impulse? Or are they in accord with your plan for your financial and money goals? Don't miss that. You should have some money goals. Second thing I want to encourage you to just pay attention to as you just give some time to understanding what your mental map is, what the plan you inherited, the program you inherited for how you use money. The second thing I need you to take a look at is how does your money move? How does your money move? Put this in your notes. Money is obedient. What do I mean, Rev? I mean, it goes exactly where you tell it to go. Therefore, you may need some boundaries around where you tell your money to go. I remember hearing Reverend Dr. Mary Tompkins say, it's not hard to tell where your priorities are. All you have to do is look at where your money goes. How does your money move? They say the average American spends 130% of their income. Now, for those of you who didn't major in math, What that means is the average person spends, there you go, a lot of math majors, excellent. The average person spends more than they have coming in. Which means what? Which means we are putting ourselves in deeper and deeper and deeper debt. We talked about being emancipated. One of the things you have to be able to emancipate first is your money. There's a reason why when you go into the store, they say the customer is always right. Not because the customer is right, but because the customer is the one with the money. You've got to reposition yourself so that your money can work for you rather than you just working for it. So if you are, no judgment, among the average, and I know you're not average, who spends 30% more than you bring in, I want to encourage you to just evaluate your spending habits. I want to encourage you to set some boundaries around your spending goals. I want to encourage you to track your spending. I want to encourage you to increase your income. Oh, you should have amen me right there. Maybe that's why you ain't got enough. Your mind ain't set for increase. Yeah, come on, somebody. When the prophet put it out there, you better grab it. Increase your income. You increase it, you'll have more to give. The average American, they spend 130%. What do they do with the rest? They save about 5%. They save about 5%. Here is what I want to encourage you to do. Put this in your notes. To save about 10%, at least 10% of your income. Pay yourself, yeah, come on. Pay yourself first. You deserve the benefit of the money you work hard for. Most people don't even like their jobs. That's why Henry David Thoreau said the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. They spend days, weeks, months, and years going to places they can't stand. And then when they get their money, they use it all up on stuff they don't really want. When I told you a couple weeks ago, I told you when I was walking downtown and the young lady was ice grilling me like I was trying to do something wrong. I was dressed like Walter Robinson is dressed over there, suit and tie. I was nice. And as I was approaching her, she jumped into the store where she worked. And the second thought in my mind after the thought of, like, lady, nobody trying to do nothing to you. But the second thought in my mind as I'm walking past the store was, I should go in there and buy a watch. Now, I don't want you to miss this. I don't want you to miss this. Something is telling me to go and buy a watch that I don't intend to buy to prove a point to somebody I don't even know. Right? How many things have you acquired just so that the Joneses might see you in a different light? When the reality is you might not even really care for them and they might not even really care for you. Rather than trying to impress the Joneses, let's see how you feel when you stack your money up and you have the opportunity to do what you do when you want to do it. Come on, Tay, let's pray. The average person spends 130% of their income. They save 5%, and they give 3%. I want to encourage you to consider modifying how you approach your finances so that you can live what's known on the 80-10-10. What's that? 10% of your giving to the place where you receive your spiritual food. If that's not here, then wherever that is, wherever that is for you, to the place that nourishes your soul and helps you to be reconditioned so that you can understand truly who you are and whose you are. There is, in the same way In the same way that you would not go to the restaurant and put your napkin in your plate and pull your silver out and begin to enjoy the meal. In the same way that most of you wouldn't get up and just leave. Some of us like, this is a free meal. But I want to encourage you to give 10% to the place that feeds you. The other 10%, give to yourself. Give it back to yourself. And then the final 80%, learn to live off that. At the same time, increasing your income. The last thing I want to encourage you to do is identify your money motivation. Remember that you have dominion to establish the boundaries around any and everything that would deter you from living a healthy, happy, prosperous, high-functioning life. And in recognizing that you have dominion, you can change your mind so that the things that are coming in your life, world, and affairs work for you. Potential always needs something. It needs attention to become something. So I want to encourage you to decide what you want when it comes to your money. To give attention to what feels right for you. And then to follow the inner guidance of the Holy Spirit so that you have the ability to use the valuable resource called money. I didn't want to rush, but I did rush. But what I want to do right now is just transition, if we may. Take a deep breath. Take another good deep breath. Because we've got 2 more things to do in this program today. Next, I want to recognize and honor 3 more of our rocks. The first, she is not with us today, but she served as Reverend Coleman's accountant for 50 years. And that is Mrs. Mary Thompson. Help me say thank you. She sent word to make sure that you all knew she was being honored. Next person I want to honor is special to me. She has nurtured me in so many ways. The Reverend Dr. Evelyn Boyd. Somebody get her up.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you for appreciating me.
Yes, ma'am, you got it. Last, certainly not least, is one of my other mothers. She fusses at me more than this mother over here does. And every now and again, between myself and AJ, we switch roles every now and again as the bad son. Right now, I think it's him. I'm the good son. And this honoree is the teacher of teachers, the Reverend Dr. Helen, Louise, Teresa, Elizabeth, Ward, Flora, Karen. Can't have 60 years of ministry without incredible commitment, incredible sacrifice, incredible contribution, and the community of people who say yes again and again to what God is wanting to do through that community of faith. So we're gonna do right. So just one more treat for you, Christ Universal Temple. Help me welcome Praise Sensations.